What's up guys, welcome back to On the Brick, and today we need to talk about something. When I first started this channel, one of my goals was to try and be more positive about things. And I thought that if I could force myself to say positive things even about bad sets, then eventually it would just come naturally. Because since my channel is dedicated to custom Lego things, I wanted to praise the people who have taken the time and effort to make them instead of being negative and bringing them down. So today's video is not going to be the norm, but I also wanted to make sure through this channel that people who didn't know much about the custom Lego community would be able to come here and see different sellers or places they could go to buy from. And I want to represent those places accurately. So I had an idea and I went and I bought custom figures from as many different places as I could find, and I also went and bought custom instructions from as many places as I could find. And I did this so that I could have a proper understanding of all the options available and the different quality that represented. And now I need to be honest about one of those experiences. So let's talk about AV Figures. If you don't know who that is, I don't blame you. I didn't know who he was until about a month ago, but AV Figures is a decently popular member of the custom minifigure community, especially since he focuses on custom clones. I first found him when I was looking for custom Ahsoka troopers and saw that he sold some as well. Since everybody, including him, were out of stock, I sent him an email asking when they would return, and I got a response the next day saying they should be back in stock within a month. And along with printed figures just taking some time to make, part of the reason it would take a month is because his primary focus is actually on decals. Now, a quick spoiler for the future of this channel is I actually want to make my own decals, and hopefully I can start doing them both for me and for the community. So I was interested in what he had, but didn't buy anything just yet. Now fast forward to Monday, June 1st. I get to the point where I feel comfortable maybe starting on a few decals, and even though I have some experience with them, it's been a few years, so I went to try to find a refresher. I knew I could check YouTube, but I distinctly remember seeing that AV Figures had tutorials, so I went to his website to look for them. And when I was there, I came across this instructions tab, which, because I was focused on the decals, I thought might be related to that, but when I clicked on it, I was pleasantly surprised as I found what everybody else in the world already expected it to be. And they had some really cool things. They had an ATRT, a crab droid, and what immediately caught my eye was the UT-AT. Now if you follow me on Instagram, or if you've seen a few of the backgrounds of my other videos, you might notice that I have a good few Galactic Marines. So of course when I saw the UT-AT, I knew I had to get it. And then I messaged my friend and I said, hey, should I get either the ATRT or the crab droid? And he didn't really like the look of the ATRT, so I went ahead and got the crab droid, which in retrospect I'm really glad I did, because I remembered BrickVault sold their ATRT at $4 cheaper with more options. But I didn't want to judge AV Figures because I hadn't bought from them before and I didn't know the quality of their work. So I got the UT-AT and the crab droid and was immediately happy to see that I could just download them right there and then, which I of course proceeded to do. And being a tad bit more excited for the UT-AT, I opened that up first, only to find this. I was confused for a second before I realized the first link was to the PDF instructions and the second link was not to the parts list. Now, as a reminder, the listing on AV Figures website specifically says that when you buy this, you will get downloadable PDF instructions and a Bricklink XML parts list. Instead, I got a .io file, which I'm not even going to remotely complain about because that is significantly better, but I do want you to remember that I did not get the parts list. However, I do want to mention something. The file being in Studio as opposed to just a parts list like BrickVault gives out, even though for someone like me is much better, could actually add extra steps for other people. For instance, what happens if someone doesn't use Studio? There are plenty of people out there who still use LDD, and sure, they could transfer this file to be openable there, but they have to download Studio first, and then connect Studio to to their Bricklink account and then upload the file so they can finally get the pieces. And it's not like I was sent this on accident, as it's very clearly listed in that file that I got that this is what I should have. And yes, this still works just the same to upload, so you don't really need to do the whole download studio and all that stuff, but when it says you're going to get an XML parts list and you get this instead, that might be a little confusing for some people. But again, for me, I knew what to do, so I didn't really think much of it at first. That is until I actually went to open the UTAT file, as I wanted to get a closer look, and then try to upload it before receiving this message. Now, up until this point, I had no issues. Purchasing the stuff was easy, getting the files was easy, and even if someone didn't know exactly what they were getting, the step-by-step instructions really guide them through that process. But they don't tell you what this is, and even worse is if you do follow the step-by-step instructions, you won't get this, and you won't even know that there is a problem until you try to go and buy the pieces and realize there are like 20 pieces that you just cannot seem to find. So I went into the file to find what the problem was. And it's not a hard thing to do. Bricklink actually has a function very specifically for that. So with a mix of that and previous experience, I was able to find the 9 different pieces that were used several times throughout this build that don't exist. And I immediately noticed a pattern. These are all the pieces that were used. And anyone familiar with Studio probably has an idea what the problem was. But for those of you who are not familiar, to try and keep it simple, there are many duplicate pieces in LEGO, and Studio has them. For instance, here are 2 slopes that look almost exactly identical. The only difference is the one on the left can actually be in light bluish gray, while the one on the right cannot. And the one on the right is the one used throughout this build. Now, it is an easy and simple mistake to make during the building process, as these pieces are right next to each other, but an experienced creator should know to find the correct one, and they should definitely know to check for errors. Yes, it's a simple mistake, but it's not one that AVFIGURES should make, because I paid $13 for these instructions for a set I then had to fix. And again, someone who follows the directions in that file might not know there was a problem or how to fix it when it inevitably comes up. And especially because it took me maybe 5 minutes to fix it, so I said whatever, uploaded the file, and then moved on to the crab droid. Opened up the file that comes with it, clicked on the link to go to the instructions, and got this. And this concerned me, because the UTAT already had problems, and now my second purchase didn't have the PDF instructions. Now, this is where it's really interesting that I did get a .io file, which did work fine for the crab droid, by the way, because interestingly enough, I could build it in there on its own, but also because the instructions are actually included. If you didn't know this, you can go to Tool, Instruction Maker, make sure you hit OK Proceed, then on the top of the page, hit Page Design, and you have your PDF instructions. You can even export and download them straight from there. So for the second purchase in a row, someone would have to take extra steps to get what they wanted. But again, I got both of these with the full intention of building them on my channel and showcasing them to you. And if I was going to do that, I wanted to make sure that anyone who went to buy these wouldn't face these problems. So I sent an email to the big bolded one listed on their website. Hi, I just bought the instructions for your crab droid, and then I gave them the transaction ID. Thing is, there are no instructions. As in, the link in the download provided does not work. It sent me directly to a 404 page. The Studio file works fine, however that is a problem that I think you should know about. Also, I purchased the UT80 and there are several pieces that are incorrect. Slopes and wedges in which Studio has several different types, and it's really easy to get them mixed up. I only noticed this when I went to upload the file to Bricklink, but someone else might not know how to fix it. Many thanks. I received absolutely absolutely no response. Now, remember, the first time that I was asking about purchasing from them, I received a response rather quickly, but this time I got nothing at all. Just in case, and because I saw he was active on Instagram, I did make a post on it there, calling him out and hoping to get his attention. I also messaged him directly and got no response. Now remember, that was all on June 1st, but he was also busy, so I knew to give him a few days, and it seemed to pay off, as on the night of June 3rd, I received this email. It simply said, "Update available for Crab Droid Instruction Kit." Continuing with, "Hi John, a product you ordered from AVFIGURES has an update available with the link below that." Now one thing you might notice was this email was sent to me at 12:47 in the morning for some reason. So the next morning when I got up and finished getting ready for the day, I hopped on my computer to happily download this, thinking that the problem had actually been fixed. When I clicked on the download link though, I got the same thing I already had. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt and think maybe they just mass updated the file and it was easier to resend it to me than send me just the instructions, but that's not what happened. This is literally the same exact file. This is not an update of any sort. Instead, this comes across as if someone only read the first 2 sentences in my original email and completely ignored the rest. So I immediately sent them a new email saying, "Hi, I received the update for the Crab Droid last night. Unfortunately, the instructions still do not work. The link in the file that comes with the download does not work. The download itself, the PDF file with the links, that works. The actual link in the PDF file does not." With my first email clearly not having been understood, I felt like I had to be more blunt in this one. And this time, I actually got a response. Now, I sent my email at 9 in the morning, and 8 hours later, I finally got this back. "Hello there, Jay. My name is Chandler, and I will be your AVFIGURES customer service representative today. An update email has been sent out to you with an updated link. If you are still experiencing any issues with the instructions, please feel free to reach back out to us so we can look into it further." Smiley face. "I hope this helps answer your questions. Thank you for contacting AVFIGURES customer support." Needless to say, that absolutely did not answer any of my questions and only confirmed that my emails weren't actually being read. Twice, I had quite clearly presented what the actual problem was, the second time being extremely blunt about it. And my last email was literally 3 sentences, which tells me they didn't even read to sentence number 2, because then they would have seen what my problem was. And I was a little upset that I had to wait 3 days to get an update that didn't work, and then another 8 hours to get this response. All of this is as if I went to McDonald's, got the wrong order, gave it back to them saying that I got the wrong order. They then took it, walked around in a circle, and gave me the same bag. And when I said that to them, they just go, "Oh no, your order's in your bag." So I immediately responded to this email saying, this email was actually sent in reply to that update. The link included still does not work. The studio file works, but the PDF instructions do not. Almost immediately, I got one more response saying, I see. I will reach out to the AVFIGURES workshop concerning this. Please stand by while I await their response. As soon as I have an answer, I will get back to you." Smiley face. So at least I know that someone finally read an email of mine, because finally they figured out there was actually a problem. But I also want to point out that at the time of this video, I have received no direct response from them, and that email came on June 4th at 5:11 p.m. Now, I wasn't aware until just the past few days, but apparently June 6th is pretty big for custom minifigures, being Order 66 and all that. Now, being June 6th, AVFIGURES released 2 new sets. He released the Bad Batch gunship and the Swamp Speeder set, both with a limited supply. I happened to see his Instagram post about this literally seconds after it was uploaded, so I took the opportunity and directly asked, will the instructions for this one actually work? To which AVFIGURES finally responded saying, "We fixed our instruction issues." Smiley face. And before I go any further on, smiley faces are totally fine when you're having a friendly conversation with people that you know. But when you are running a business, knock it off. Because these smiley faces do not come across as friendly or charming, but instead as childish, immature, and condescending. And I told him, weird, I never received them for my order yet. But what surprised me more was seeing someone else who had bought the ATRT instructions that I wanted, who was also saying they didn't work. So clearly this wasn't a problem that only I was having, and clearly this wasn't a problem with just the crab droid. By the sound of this guy's message, customer service should absolutely have been aware of the problem before having to talk to me. But yet, here we are, with this still being an issue. But just in case, I did go back to that file that I got in the update email and I checked the link. I knew it wasn't going to work because that's not how Google Drive works, but if AVFIGURES is going to say directly to me that the issue is fixed, then the issue should be fixed, right? Well, it wasn't. So at this point, what wasn't really a problem to begin with now has me quite upset. It's now been 5 days since I made my purchase. I've had to say the same thing to their customer service 3 times, being ignored completely the first time, and that's to a customer service which apparently already knew about the issue, mind you, and now Andrew himself is lying to my face. Sort of. And I would have actually liked that to be the end of the story, but it wasn't. You see, when he uploaded the new sets, I did go and take a look at them. Now, I already knew that the Swamp Speeder was way overpriced at $90, so I didn't even bother looking, but I was curious what the Bad Bat set would be. It's not necessarily a bad design, and if LEGO made this set, I'm pretty sure people would be okay with it. However, the proportions of this particular set are off in certain areas, such as the cockpit being far more elongated in the actual ship and the sides as well, while in this LEGO version the cockpit and the nose seems to be squished along with the hull, which again in itself wouldn't actually be too much of a problem. No, the problem comes when this 600 piece set was sold for $400. No, I did not misspeak. This completely normal playset with 5 custom figures was sold for $400. Now, I don't know how much a complete printed figure from him costs because they've continuously been out of stock, but I do know a figure with no cloth and no helmet cost $20. So let's go and say that a single figure costs $30 or even $35. Now, his Swamp Speeder set sells for $90 and includes one 360-degree printed figure and the 174 piece speeder. So if that figure costs $35, which according to places like Clone Army Customs and Minifigs for You, it should, then he's asking $65 for this less than 200 piece set. And even if you want to tell me that the cloth adds more value to it, then you could say at most it's a $40 figure, which is still absurd, and they're still charging $50 for this 174 piece set. And if you spent your money on that, I am sorry. Why? Okay, cool, the speeder's printed. So, a $30 price tag would already be pushing it, but at $50, that's way too much. But if we go back to the Bad Bat stuff, you can see it's not much better. And this side doesn't even have a picture of what the figures are going to look like. But with the figures, you can see that it will include a Padme nose art sticker, which isn't canon by the way, along with the 5 360-degree figures, and decaled helmets. So again, if we price those figures at $40 each, you're talking $200 just for those guys, which isn't entirely unreasonable, but still is a little expensive, especially when you could have gotten fully printed figures, including the helmets from Minifigs for You, for less than that. And Clone Army Customs has said that he will be making his own version soon. But besides that, it's then also saying that the 600 pieces are worth $200. And from what I can tell, there are no printed pieces on this one, it's just that sticker. And that's the price of a UCS set. You could quite literally get a set with 1,000 more pieces for that same price. Now, I do want to say, say I understand that the price tag includes the work of gathering the pieces and actually shipping them out as well. And so a decent chunk of that money does go towards that. It's also the reason why the other set costs $90. But that price point, and especially this price point, are still just ridiculous. And the reason that I spent the last few minutes ranting about this is because being June 6th, there was supposed to be a 10% sale on the entire store, including these sets, and AVFIGURES forgot. He literally came out later on Instagram saying that he forgot to activate the discount. Now, he did make a nice gesture by giving this discount code openly. However, don't get your hopes up, you had to have bought from him on June 6, 2030. No, I didn't misspeak. That's what he wrote. And this brings up two final things. First, yes, it's a nice gesture to give that discount code. However, for the people who did spend the $400, it's not what should have been done. There's a huge difference between getting $40 off an item and being told, if you buy from us again, you can save some of that money. And in my opinion, it's really unfair to the people who did spend the $400 on this, or the $90 on the speeder, or any money at all. This isn't a problem that I have with AVFIGURES, this is a problem I have with the world in general. Telling people, sorry we didn't save you money, but if you come back and spend more money with us, that'll be okay, isn't my favorite way of handling things, but I do understand why it's done. But the second thing it shows is the lack of attention to detail that AVFIGURES gives. And what I mean is that I didn't know June 6th was a big thing until about 2 weeks ago, but as an active member of the custom minifigure community, he absolutely did. So much so, he had a massive restock and even new releases planned, and somehow forgot to activate the sale. Now, I know that things tend to slip people's minds, and if this had happened on its own, I probably wouldn't have even cared. But with it coming on the heels of an absolutely terrible customer service experience, which I want to emphasize still has not been resolved, and with Andrew himself lying directly to me, I had to include it. I had to care. Because almost immediately, one of the other people I follow on Instagram posted some things he would like to see AVFIGURES do better. But it was done in a respectable manner, and it brought up issues with the customer service, and also with how the shipping takes too long, even giving the extra 3 weeks they said it would take during this global issue. And so here's the thing, I do have the pieces for the UT-AT. I have it built, and I more than likely will make a video about it, but in absolutely no way can I recommend AVFIGURES to you. From my personal experience and from what I've seen other people have faced, I just cannot in good faith recommend that you go and check them out, because right now it's just not worth it. You might get instructions that don't work, you might have a problem that customer service will completely ignore 3 separate times, you might get lied to directly from Andrew himself, and despite listed shipping times, you might just have to wait and wait and wait. Now, I do want to say that I did receive another update email from them, this one coming on June 8th, exactly 1 week after my purchase, and stated an update about our instruction products. We've been made aware of a problem with our instruction products where the links are not working, and in some cases the automated emails are not being sent out. We apologize for any delays in getting your files to you. We're working on fixing this issue and will send out another email with an update confirming when we fix them and how to access them. I have yet to receive any follow-up from that email. Now again, if you remember way back, I don't necessarily need it, but admittedly at this point, it would be nice to have. And I will say this one last time, for your own sake, I cannot recommend him. I cannot recommend AVFIGURES. But if something changes and I see an improvement in his quality, then I will happily change my stance on that, and if need be, make a follow-up video, but at the very least I will pin a comment down below so you can know. But as of the time of making this video, no. I personally will not be purchasing anything else from him. hopefully he can improve his customer service, hopefully he can stop with these smiley faces, and hopefully he never lies to me or anyone else directly again. Because if you are looking for custom clones, there are different options out there. For instance, like Star Wars Fanatics. His commissions are a little bit on the expensive side for me, but if you were buying from AV Figures, you're probably looking for the decals themselves, and he does sell those as well, including entire do-it-yourself packs. And I've actually had good customer service from him, and even had him respond to me directly about some questions. So for the time being, that's where I would recommend you go. Anyway, I have been talking for way too long, but thank you for watching. I hope you have had better experiences with AV Figures, and I hope in the future I can have better experiences too. Lastly, this was not to single out AV Figures, but just to tell you about the experience I had with him. I do plan to review and talk about other custom makers with both minifigures and sets, so that you can get a better idea of who you would like to buy from. I will have that UT-AT review out soon, as there are a few good things to say about it, but for now, thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button down below. What were your experiences with AV Figures? Did you have as much trouble as I did, or did you have a smooth experience? Please let me know in the comments down below. I'd like to hear what you have to say, and if you liked what you saw and you are a fan of custom Lego, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it's what I do here. Also, don't forget about the Season 7 Ahsoka giveaway that's still going on. But that's it for today. I'll see you next time.